All right, here we go. Comics Plus, what is going on, Akasan? We're going to do this one real quick because we literally have been talking about this for 4 hours all day. Big news in the DCEU world. The hierarchy of DCEU has changed so much that literally we've been talking about it all day. The entire day has just, DCEU has been gunned down. Yeah, I just thought about that. This is not the first time I thought of this up. Okay. So it was announced today, Hollywood Reporter. It was like 5 a.m. this morning, and I was like, dude, I can't deal with this too much. But the DCU, the DCEU has imploded as we know it, and it's a shocker. DC shocker, James Gunn and Peter Safran to lead film, TV, and animation divisions. Insane. So, the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is really changing. In a stunning turn of events, filmmaker James Gunn and producer Peter Safran have been tapped to lead DC's film, TV, and animation efforts as co-chairs and co-CEO of DC Studios. A newly formed division at Warner Brothers that will replace DC Films. The unprecedented move in which a top director will assume a top executive post marks the end of months-long search by Warner Brothers. Discovery CEO David Sazan to replace DC Films boss Walter Hamada, who departed the studio last week. That search had all of Hollywood guessing and playing exclusive bingo for who would land one of the most coveted and challenging jobs in town. In recent weeks, Gunn and Safran were spotted on the Warner Brothers lot, meeting with Warner Brothers film co-chair Michael D. Luca about future projects. And according to sources, the initial overture to Safran and Gunn came from DeLuca over the summer, even as the studio was in shaky talks for producer Dan Lin to take the job. I remember that. Damn. Okay, chill. Gunn will focus on the creative side of things, while Safran will focus on the business and production side. Okay. Both are expected to continue to direct and produce projects respectively. They will report directly to Zazals and work closely with Warner Brothers Films bosses DeLuca and Pamela Adby. Sources say that the deal runs 4 years and Gunn will be exclusive to DC. Rest in peace, Guardians of the Galaxy. The goal is for them not to just be producers, but to truly function as executives, even as Gunn will occasionally hone a movie. I'm with that. Unlike Marvel Studios, DC has multiple films set in separate creative universes, and according to sources, Joker filmmaker Todd Phillips' work on the upcoming sequel, which goes in production later this year, will not fall under Gunn and Safran's purview, and instead be overseen by DeLuca and Adby. Matt Reeves, who worked under Hamada, has a budding universe based on his Batman movie. It is unclear under whose purview Reeves' future projects would fall, but everything else moving forward would be under Gunn and Safran's. DC has amongst the most entertaining, powerful, and iconic characters in the world, and I am thrilled to have the singular and complementary talents of James and Peter joining our world-class team and overseeing the creative direction of the storied DC universe, said Safran in a statement. Their decades of experience in filmmaking, close ties to the creative community, and proven track record thrilling superhero fans around the globe make them uniquely qualified to develop a long-term strategy across film, television, and animation and takes this iconic franchise to the next level of creative storytelling. The hierarchy of DCEU is about to change. Gunn is one of the more respected minds in the world of comic book filmmaking. He came up in the indie film space and became an A-list director in 2014 with Marvel Studios' Guardians of the Galaxy and its 2017 sequel. He jumped to DC in 2018 to develop The Suicide Squad after rival Marvel fired him as director of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Technically, Disney fired him, but okay. The studio later reinstated him as director of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The studio, reinstated him, and that his project is due out May 2023. Oh, wow, that's actually fairly soon. His DC foray, The Suicide Squad, was critically adored and spawned the hit HBO Max spinoff Peacemaker, starring John Cena. Gunn is currently working on a second season. Holy shit. Safran came up as manager where Gunn was among his clients and is fully immersed in the world of DC as producer of the $1 billion grossing Aquaman and its upcoming sequel, as well as Squad, Peacemaker, and Shazam. Wait, what is Squad? Squad? Huh? Somebody know what Squad is? All right, and its sequel. Is that in terms of Suicide Squad? Probably Suicide Squad. His relationship with Warner extends back 10 years and includes the $2 billion Conjuring horror franchise. Really? The Safran company recently re-upped its production deal with Warner's. Gunn and Safran will work with top executives at WBD, including TV boss Channing Dungey, HBO and HBO Max's Casey Bloys, U.S. Networks Group Chair and Chief Content Officer Kathleen Finch. I wonder what happened to, not Amy Pascal, the other person. Consumer Products Chief, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's it. Wait, there's even more? Blah, 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 Black Batgirl, Valtteri Shape, DC, blah, 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 no more James Gunn and Marvel. Okay, that's it. So, woof. So this is huge news, guys. This is big. This is coming out the gate hard and strong. I mean, I think this by far probably takes the biggest news. This by far probably takes the biggest news this year. In terms of comic book movies and the future of DC films, now DC Studios is about to change. Obviously, we really won't be seeing anything really big until next year, but overall, I honestly don't think they could have picked a better person. James Gunn obviously has a proven track record, non-controversial track record in terms of his work. You know, everybody likes the Guardians movies, usually, right? The majority of people, right? They like the Guardians movies. I think the critics liked the Suicide Squad. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, generally because of the pandemic and the same day and date release, it didn't do as well, but it actually it still made money. It broke even. Most of the DC, we were talking about this on Twitch earlier, when just looking at it, most of the DCEU films made money when including worldwide, not domestic. It was tanking or barely breaking even domestically, but when it came to worldwide, it was fine, which leads a lot to say about the idea of what was I gonna say? Of something that was said a few years ago like almost 7 years ago, where I forgot what studio said it. I believe it was in the Sony leaks, but they were just kind of saying how it really doesn't matter how good the content is, because the majority of the money that they make is overseas with people who don't even speak English. And I was like, damn. I was like, wow. But you know, when it really comes down to it, that's kind of how it works. The DC, surprisingly enough, even with the failed Snyderverse, the DCEU as a whole, mainly thanks to Aquaman, and we noticed Shazam, a lot of those movies afterward just made a lot of money. And it was really Aquaman, as far as I can tell, outside of Joker, because that wouldn't count, right? But Aquaman is the most has made the most profit based on its budget. The fact that I think it's the only DCEU movie to make $1 billion. That is crazy. Aquaman. That's crazy. Nevertheless, it's interesting how this is all going down. I think James Gunn is really the best pick. I'm really happy for him to be in this position. I cannot wait. I think he has a good idea of looking at what the general audience, how to make something that everybody can enjoy, not just what sort of an artistic person wants. You know, just like, you know, that's sometimes what happens, especially with a lot of directors, that they just want to put out the movie they want to put out, right? And not necessarily think about what the ideal audience will like, and try not to be in like a kind of like an echo chamber of just what only some people are sort of hearing. Black Adam is a good example of just kind of making a movie that it's kind of like it didn't really seem like it really knew where it wanted, like, or either it was just kind of like it's a love letter from The Rock, and some people are really into it, but not necessarily enough to catch people to come in. Where I believe, honestly, Guardians of the Galaxy really speaks to itself as like nobody cared about Guardians of the Galaxy. Nobody cared, and now it's a household name. Now they got things everywhere, and James Gunn, I think, structured it in a way that worked really well for people to sort of adapt and get into it like that. You know, Rocket Raccoon is a very household name at this point. Star-Lord, Gamora, of course, Drax. So I think that's a great thing, and I think it's that sort of mindset that James Gunn has that is going to help carry over into other DC films. It won't be, you know, it doesn't need to be his vision, right? It doesn't need to be his world. He just has to give sort of bullet points and just make sure and hope that it'll work. And I think that's a kind of a cool thing. And then in terms of Marvel, it's a shame that Marvel won't be able to work with him after Guardians 3 wraps up. But I do feel like James has left his imprint enough in other projects that it's kind of the Guardians look, or the James Gunn look, has continued on into the Thor world. And as we've most recently seen, Ant-Man and the Wasp, right? So I think it's fine there. And as you can see, James Gunn can also do the grittiness, but still entertaining, as we've seen with Peacemaker. Wasn't for me, but there's enough people that really were down with it and liked it, that we know that it can be kind of like this feel of almost like Toxic Avenger type of feeling. That's the way I kind of looked at it. I was like, wow, this is pretty grotesque and kind of like disgusting, but like really like Garbage Pail Kid type vibe to it, or whatever, or like Toxic Avenger again, right? So I think there's enough that James Gunn knows exactly kind of what the market wants and what they like. And God, if there was ever a movie for him to do, probably Gotham City Sirens. Given the time that he was working on he was part of the Harley Quinn animated show, I honestly would not mind him tackling, doing what he did with Mantis, Gamora, and showing issues there, and sort of seeing what he can do with Harley Quinn. I would not mind. Like, we saw that she still had a pretty good like track record with the Suicide Squad, you know, especially recovering from Birds of Prey. I would love to see him doing Gotham City Sirens or something like that, like him, and bringing in Ivy. Can you imagine? I would love to see that. Clayface, I don't know. I'm iffy on that one because I wouldn't want them to go the route of the animated way. But based on what we've seen with the Suicide Squad as well, what he did with King Shark, I could kind of see them making Clayface more goofy if James Gunn was in charge of that. I would like to see more of a badass Disney, like kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean effects heavy sort of deal. Oh my god, as Clayface would be terrifying to me. For me. Like if they shot it like The Thing or like The Invisible Man, very like horror type of setting, I think that'd be kind of cool. So I don't think James Gunn would be the right person for Clayface, like horror style, but good lord, if somebody else put on that, like we see that the other producer focused on The Conjuring. Could you imagine how cool that would be, man? Yeah. Found in Japan says it's exciting to see what he can do. Can't be really any worse than what they have right now. Yeah, I mean, they're clearing house. The hierarchy is changing. I am kind of wondering how much The Rock knew about this. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I am wondering how much did The Rock know, like, because like it seems like there is theory that The Rock had been pitching, like he really was trying to be the one in charge of the DC universe. Obviously he's not really the choice to be, you know, writing stories, and you know, he can be part of it, but it doesn't need to be centered around Black Adam. Now, a James Gunn produced or helped focused story between Shazam, Black Adam, and maybe down the line Superman, that'd be pretty damn cool. I could probably see something like that working. I would not be opposed to a cameo Superman story. Or another story focusing on Batman. I'm sorry. Oof. Another story focusing on Shazam, but Superman comes down and has a talk with the Wizard. There's a particular comic that was really, really good with that. I think we're already kind of past the point now because of the fact that Billy is so older now. He's older now, so it doesn't have that same effect anymore. But seeing Superman as a dude, like seeing Superman as kind of a father figure to Shazam or to Billy, was such a cool scene in the comics and everything. We might be already past that, but yeah, that'd be really cool to see something like that. And then The Rock kind of playing more of the villain role that I prefer Black Adam to be. I don't think we will go that route, but I think that'd be kind of cool, man. All these magic powers and everything, that'd be kind of cool. But that's a whole nother deal. That's a whole nother deal though. But anyways, yeah, I'm very happy about it. I actually like, you know, it's obviously no secret that a good amount of people have been very turned off of everything going on with DC and Warner Brothers, and just it hasn't really seemed like much hope. DC Sun would argue with me the opposite about that. But we were just talking about this the other day with DC Fandom being canceled, being postponed this year, and he was like, no, they could have done it. I'm like, what are they going to talk about? Like, how can you still be hyped for DC at this moment in time? How can you be hyped for anything going on behind the scenes with Warner Brothers? So now granted if they had announced that for DC Fandom, holy crap, could you imagine? That would have been insane. did that be the opening of DC fandom? Oh my God! But this is fine as well, right? This is fine as well. God, that would have broke the internet, to be honest. That would have broke the internet. Yeah. I'm with it. I'm with it. I think this team works well. I have hope once again, and only time will tell if it really pans out. I'm with it. Red Dreaded Nation, stand up, speak up. Let me know if you guys think. How are you feeling about this? Time has gone by enough for you to really, really put your 2 cents in about this. I think this is a great thing. And yeah, if anybody can do it, it's Gunn and the other guy. The other guy. But yeah, you just got gunned. We'll talk to you on the next one. Peace.